Where is the dog? Where is she?
Stop calling her a dog.
Hey, don't you're not her advocate.
Just don't call her that.
Guys.
The room froze the second Andrei said the word divorce. No buildup, no warning. One sentence landed, and the air changed. Elizabeth did not cry right away. She went still. Her face strained. Her breath shortened. You could see the moment her brain stopped protecting her. This was not another fight. This was final. Cameras kept rolling while her body caught up to the truth. She stood. She shook. She could not breathe. And then she ran. Reality TV crossed a line right there because this was not drama anymore. This was a marriage ending in public with no exit ramp. Andrei did not yell. That is what made it terrifying. Calm voice. Straight posture. No flinch. He looked done. Not angry. Finished. The kind of finish that happens long before paperwork. People expected chaos. What they got was control. He chose the loudest room possible to say the quiet part out loud. On purpose. That choice mattered. And it changed everything. Elizabeth collapsing was not about one sentence. It was about years crashing at once. Loyalty split between husband and family. Silence sold as peace. Problems parked for later. Later arrived under studio lights. Millions watching. No privacy. No pause button. Her panic was not weakness. It was overload. But here's what most viewers missed in that moment. This night was not done hurting people. Not even close. While one marriage cracked on stage, another one felt the ground shift under their feet. Something said out loud. Something that could not be taken back. You could feel it coming even before it hit. And right when you think the damage stopped, with one couple, the next fracture was already forming. Because the real fallout did not live on that stage. It followed them backstage. Into hotel rooms. Into marriages that still looked intact on camera. And once truth breaks this loudly, it does not stay contained. Everyone walked into this tell-all thinking they knew the routine. Loud voices. Old fights. People talking over each other. Someone storms off. Comes back, rinse, repeat. You have watched enough seasons to know the rhythm. The cast sits down pretending they are ready for accountability, while secretly hoping the heat lands on someone else. You probably expected Andrei to snap at someone, Elizabeth to smooth things over, and the night to end with nothing resolved. Same chaos, different couch. That expectation mattered, because it lowered everyone's guard, including the audience. Including Elizabeth. Even the host looked relaxed at first, asking safe questions, nudging familiar arguments, letting everyone warm up. It felt routine, almost boring, the kind of episode you half-watch while scrolling, waiting for one messy moment worth clipping. But this tell-all was never routine. It was pressure built over years, disguised as small arguments and forced smiles. Think about how long these couples have lived on camera. Conflicts paused for filming schedules. Apologies saved for reunions. Real conversations delayed because producers were nearby. Every season added another layer. Another compromise. Another silence sold as progress. Public marriage does something strange to private damage. It stretches it out. It rewards endurance instead of honesty. You stay together not because things are good, but because breaking up feels louder than staying stuck. And when that pressure has nowhere to go, it does not leak. It explodes. Andrei and Elizabeth walked onto that stage carrying more than the current season. They carried every fight that never finished. Every family dinner that turned into a power struggle. Every moment where someone swallowed their feelings to keep the peace. This tell-all was not about closure. It was about release. And this is where the night quietly shifted from messy TV to something no one could rewind. The scariest part was not the shouting. There barely was any. It was the calm, the pauses, the timing. Someone had decided long before the cameras rolled that this stage was the place to end things. Not at home, not in private, in front of everyone. That choice raises a question you cannot ignore. Who controls the story when a marriage ends on television? The person who speaks first, or the one left to pick up the pieces. And once that control slips, there is no getting it back. What made Andrei's moment land so hard was not anger. It was control. He sat there steady, shoulders squared, eyes forward. No pacing, no shouting over people, no insults flying across the couch. If you were waiting for the old Andrei to explode, you waited in the wrong episode. This version had already burned through his emotions somewhere off camera. What showed up on stage was the aftermath. Calm like a closed door. Calm scares people more than rage, because rage still wants something. Rage wants a reaction, an argument, a fix. Calm wants an ending. Andrei spoke like someone who had rehearsed this moment in his head many times, not for drama, for finality. He did not soften the blow, but he did not embellish it either. One statement. Clean. Direct. Divorce filed. That is it. Body language tells stories words avoid. He did not look at Elizabeth when he said it. Not out of cruelty, but out of distance. Eye contact invites negotiation. He gave none. Hands still, jaw tight. The posture of someone protecting a decision from interference. When people interrupted him, he did not rush to defend himself. He waited. Silence did the work. The timing matters. Ending a marriage privately allows room for backtracking, family pressure, emotional bargaining, public sympathy campaigns. Ending it live removes all of that. No side conversations, no rewrites. The story locks in. For someone who felt overshadowed by family voices and edited narratives for years, this was the only space where his version could not be diluted. That is why some viewers called it honest. Brutal honesty, but honesty all the same. Others saw something darker. A man using the biggest spotlight possible to regain power. Choosing maximum exposure so the other person has nowhere to land softly. Those viewers were not wrong either. Public truth carries public consequences. Elizabeth did not consent to this timing. That matters. The cruelty argument comes from that imbalance. One person prepared, one person blindsided. And this is where the audience split, because the same calm looked like strength to some and punishment to others. What complicates it is Andrei's history. Years of being painted as the problem. Years of family interference playing out on screen. Some viewers believe this was the only way he felt heard. Others believe feeling unheard does not justify public humiliation. Both interpretations sit uncomfortably side by side. Notice what he did not do. He did not list grievances in detail. He did not drag Elizabeth's character. He framed it as exhaustion. A cycle he could not stay inside anymore. That restraint is what makes the moment hard to label cleanly. Rage is easy to condemn. Calm forces you to think. And while everyone argued over his motives, something else was happening. Elizabeth was still off stage, still processing, still shaking. The decision had been delivered. The reaction had not finished forming. Because the calm that protected Andrei's choice was about to collide with Elizabeth's reality, and the impact was not going to be quiet. Elizabeth did not break because she was fragile. She broke because she held too much for too long. When she ran off that stage, gasping for air, people rushed to label it drama. That misses the point. Panic does not arrive out of nowhere. It shows up when the body finally realizes the mind cannot keep pretending. Her collapse was not about divorce paperwork. It was about the moment her coping system failed in public. For years, Elizabeth played the role of bridge. Between her husband and her family. Between conflict and calm. Between private hurt and public performance. She smoothed edges. She softened words. She stayed quiet when choosing sides felt dangerous. People-pleasing looks gentle from the outside, but it demands constant self-erasure. Each compromise feels small, Together, they become unbearable. That is why this did not happen during a fight at home or after a heated family dinner. Those moments still left her room to manage the damage, to explain, to repair, to delay. On that stage, there was no management left. The truth arrived finished, spoken without her, finalized without her input. Her body reacted before her thoughts caught up. Humiliation played a role, but not in the way people assume. It was not embarrassment over being left. It was the shock of losing control over her own story. She had defended this marriage publicly for years. She had absorbed criticism quietly. She believed endurance counted for something. Watching that narrative end in one sentence felt like the floor disappearing. Loss of identity hits harder than loss of partnership. Elizabeth was not only a wife, she was a mediator, a protector, a translator between worlds. When the marriage ended, those roles vanished too. Who are you when the thing you worked hardest to preserve ends without your consent? That question landed all at once. And this is the moment viewers realized her panic was not weakness. It was the cost of holding everyone else together alone. People often ask why she did not see it coming. She did. On some level. Many people do. But seeing cracks is different from accepting collapse. Hope stretches denial. Especially when cameras reward perseverance. Especially when walking away feels like failure instead of self-preservation. When Elizabeth returned to the stage, her eyes were swollen and her voice quieter. Not defeated. Stripped. She spoke less because there was less left to perform. The shock had done its work. Silence replaced negotiation. What matters is this. Emotional overload does not stay contained to one person. When a marriage implodes publicly, the damage spreads outward. It reaches other couples, other insecurities, other fears sitting quietly on the same couch. And while everyone focused on Elizabeth trying to breathe again, another relationship was already absorbing the impact. Not through shouting, through doubt, through something said aloud that could not be pulled back. Because once one marriage collapses this openly, the shockwave never stops with just one couple. The energy changed when the attention moved to Jovi and Yara. Louder drama drains a room. What followed felt heavier, quieter. One statement shifted the air, and you could see it land before anyone spoke again. This was not a fight. This was doubt entering a marriage in front of an audience. Yara did not react with anger first. Her face tightened. Her eyes searched Jovi's. She waited. Hesitation is loud when you expect reassurance. Jovi did not explode. He did not deny fast. He paused. That pause did the damage. In relationships, anger burns hot and fades. Doubt sticks. Once it shows up, it asks questions every day. Public exposure makes doubt sharper. At home, uncertainty lives between two people. On that stage, it lived between millions. Yara was not only processing her marriage. She was processing how she looked while doing it. That pressure matters. When insecurity meets an audience, emotional safety disappears. What spilled out next was not manipulation or performance. It was fear. Fear of being unwanted. Fear of aging. Fear of trying harder while feeling less chosen. Those fears do not appear overnight. They sit quietly until something gives them permission to speak. That statement gave permission. And right here, the show stopped feeling loud and started feeling intimate in the worst way. Jovi tried to walk it back. His words sounded reasonable on paper. Stress, venting, misunderstood intent. The problem was timing. Explanations after hesitation feel defensive. Even if true, they arrive late. Yara did not need logic. She needed certainty. That gap stayed open. Anger invites repair. You argue, you apologize, you move forward. Doubt changes behavior. It watches tone. It tracks distance. It reads silence as meaning. Yara's posture shifted. She became guarded, not dramatic, careful. That is how trust begins to thin out. The cruelty of public doubt is permanence. You cannot rewind the moment someone questioned your place out loud. Cameras preserve it. Clips circulate. Every reassurance afterward competes with that memory. Emotional safety depends on consistency. This moment broke consistency. And the quiet part is this. Nothing on that stage resolved what just entered their relationship. They stayed seated. They stayed together. On screen, nothing officially ended. Off screen is where doubt works. Late nights, missed calls, tone changes, overthinking. Those are not filmed. Those are where marriages strain. As the segment ended, viewers focused on what was said. The real question hung unspoken. What happens when the cameras leave and there is no audience to explain things to? That answer was not coming tonight. And that uncertainty was the most damaging part of all. By the next morning, the episode no longer belonged to the couples. It belonged to the internet. Clips ripped out of context spread faster than the full story ever could. One moment became 10 narratives. Andrei was a villain. Andrei was finally honest. Elizabeth was strong. Elizabeth was embarrassing. Jovi was careless. Yara was overreacting. Every reaction said as much about the viewer as it did about the people on screen. That polarization is not accidental. Reality TV feeds on it. Short clips invite judgment without responsibility. Sympathy becomes a side to pick. Blame becomes entertainment. Viewers are encouraged to decide who deserves support and who deserves consequences, even though no one watching lives inside these marriages. The uncomfortable truth is that moments like this go viral because they feel raw, unsanitized, real. There is a hunger to see emotional walls collapse in public, especially when our own private lives feel unresolved. Watching someone else unravel offers distance, relief, sometimes even validation. At least my life is not that messy. That thought moves quietly through the scroll. But there is tension here that never fully settles. Ratings reward exposure. Exposure deepens harm. The more a clip is shared, the more permanent the damage becomes. Elizabeth's panic attack is not just a moment anymore. It is a reaction gif. Jovi's hesitation is not a pause anymore. It is a loop. Andrei's calm is no longer context. It is a headline. And once a person becomes a symbol, their future stops being their own. None of this means viewers are cruel. Most reactions come from empathy mixed with projection. People see themselves in Elizabeth's endurance, in Yara's fear, in Andrei's exhaustion. We respond from our own experiences, even when we think we are being objective. The problem is scale. Millions projecting at once distorts everything. The show continues. Contracts remain. Social media does not. Cast members wake up to thousands of opinions telling them who they are and what they should do next. That noise seeps into real decisions. It influences apologies, breakups, reconciliations. Public reaction becomes part of the relationship ecosystem, whether anyone wants it there or not. So when viewers ask what happens next, the answer is complicated. The couples do not move forward alone. They carry the audience with them. Every comment, every clip, every judgment. And the final question is not just what this tell-all did to their marriages, but what watching it did to us. Because once we turn real pain into content, there is no clean line between observer and participant. When the cameras finally stopped rolling, the chaos did not disappear. Elizabeth did not return to her hotel room with clarity. She returned to a quiet that felt heavier than any argument. Surrounded by production staff and the lingering sense of disbelief, she carried more than heartbreak. She carried the reality that her marriage had been publicly unmade in a way she could not undo. Her usual defenses, people-pleasing, keeping the peace, mediating family tension, felt irrelevant. The identity she had built over years, balancing loyalty between husband, family, and public perception, had fractured. Andrei, on the other hand, appeared composed in a way that unsettled those around him. No pacing, no loud statements, just quiet focus. He had already made the decision to end things weeks before, and revealing it on stage was intentional. Timing mattered. Control mattered. By making it public, he removed private negotiation, silenced outside influence, and set the narrative in motion on his terms. Some viewers see honesty, others see cruelty. Either way, his calm reinforced the permanence of the decision. Jovi and Yara carried the weight of doubt long after the lights dimmed. Hesitation on stage became persistent vigilance off camera. Every sigh, every glance, every small silence became a test of commitment. Trust, once shaken publicly, does not reset quietly. Emotional safety is slow to rebuild, and the residue of doubt lingers, unseen but powerful. Across all three couples, behaviors shifted. Isolation replaced casual conversation. Smiles carried tension. Numbness hid shock. Alliances within the cast subtly shifted. Friendships strained, and the subtle hierarchy of attention and influence adjusted. These changes were not dramatic on camera, but meaningful behind the scenes. The tell-all's ripples extended far beyond its runtime. Moments that seemed brief during filming became defining, shaping the emotional landscape of everyone involved. And the night that shocked the world was not the climax. It was the starting point for a slow, complex fallout that would shape decisions, interactions, and trust for months. The timing of the public divorce, the pause before Jovi clarified, the choice to end conversations on stage, all were about control. All were about consequences. And the consequences are still playing out, quietly, intensely, and in ways no one could rewind. The story doesn't end when cameras cut. It lives in every glance, every hesitation, and every calculated step the couples take next. By the end of the tell-all, one truth stood out: private pain cannot stay private when the world is watching. Andrei's calm finality cut through years of denial. Elizabeth's panic attack exposed the cost of divided loyalty. Jovi's hesitation planted doubt that would not wash away, and Yara's insecurities were magnified beyond repair. Every reaction, every tear, every controlled pause became permanent. Nothing could be edited back together. These weren't moments of spectacle. They were fractures. Exposure replaced negotiation. Clarity replaced comfort. Trust was tested in ways that could not be reversed. The tell-all didn't provide healing. It provided a spotlight on consequences, showing that when truth is forced into the open, it does not fold neatly back into privacy. The ripple effects continue. Alliances shifted. Friendships became fragile. The emotional residue from one public revelation spread quietly through every interaction. The couple's choices, words, and silences are now measured against an audience that witnessed their breaking points. There is no rewind, no safe corner to retreat to. Clarity has arrived without closure, leaving every participant navigating a landscape of permanent consequences. The tell-all proved that some endings are not about resolution. They are about recognition. Recognition of limits, recognition of unspoken truths, and recognition of what can no longer be ignored. And even as the cameras rested, the story did not. Behind closed doors, new tensions brewed, alliances shifted, and secrets began to surface that no one was prepared to handle. Some relationships would hold, others would fracture further. Next, we'll uncover what happened after the stage lights faded, which relationship cracked the hardest, and how the fallout from this explosive night continued to reshape the 90-day Fiancé universe.